Good afternoon. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot this was on. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to BSHRM's 2020 Virtual Conference and Expo. My name is Rashad Thompson, and I'm delighted that you decided to join us this afternoon. I'm going to be talking to you today about employee engagement. And as we talk about that, I want you to ask yourself one question. Would your employees say yes? What do we mean when we say engagement? Is it just a buzzword? Something that sounds good, that feels good, that you can place in your company's boardroom or perhaps on your company's website? No. Engagement actually has a pulse. You can feel it. It has a presence. It's a state of being. It's a state of mind that employees deserve to have. It can't happen, though, if HR leaders like yourselves are not leading the charge for employee engagement. When we think about employee engagement, how you approach it determines how it's received in your organization. You are the leader. You are the charge as it relates to employee engagement in your operations. Your staff members, your leadership, your team members are counting on you to make the difference. When we think of the word engagement today, what comes to my mind is the word love. You know, a word that comes and goes. It becomes meaningless because we say it so often. We just throw it about in our meetings and on our webinars and in our sessions like these because it feels good, it sounds good, and it's the right thing to say. What are you actually doing about engagement? I want you to open your mind's eye. Think for a minute about the employee that you passed on Thursday. Or because it's pandemic time, think about the employee you passed in February. Think about that employee that's excited to be to work, that's invested in all that they do every single day, that's burdened by what I call the H-cubed syndrome. They invest their head, their heart, and their hands in everything they do. Can you hear him? Do you see her? Maybe you don't. Maybe you can't. But that's okay. That's why we're here today. We're here today to talk about exactly what you should be doing to enhance the employee engagement experience at your operation. We're going to have some fun. So sit back, relax, and get ready for a good time. As we define what engagement looks like and sounds like and feels like, it's important that we understand what disengagement looks like as well. The disengaged employee, you may know him or her very, very well, is withdrawn, disinterested, not there for it, not riled up about much, don't have any concern about what's going on in the workplace. They don't care to be there. You can spot them from a mile away. I want you to think for a minute. Stop, pause, and think. Go into your memory bank and recall the customer experience that you loathe the most. At the same time, recall the customer experience that you love the most. The two of them stand out for one reason: the engaged or disengaged employee. When you think of the story that you always share in sessions like this and in meetings like these where you get to share your favorite employee experience or customer experience or your least favorite experience, you always remember the employee. You remember the level of engagement that they displayed as they rushed to your aid or as they just couldn't be bothered and continued to play their game. Candy Crush, Farmville, that's still a thing, I don't even know. But the disengagement shows up through the employee's behavior. The environments that you set as an HR professional will determine whether you have the engaged employee that's excited and purposed in the work that they do, or the disengaged employee who could care less. The choice is yours. The employee that you think about the most, the employee that you can't forget, is likely the engaged or the disengaged employee. There's no in between. Either you love them because of what they did for you or what they didn't do for you. That's the difference between a disengaged and an engaged employee. An engaged employee is purposed and excited about the work that they do. They have an interest in the outcome of the work that they produce. The disengaged employee is there for the check, if that. They could care less. You walk into the store, help yourself. Everything is where it is the last time you came here. They don't have an interest in what you came to do. That's the difference between engaged and disengaged. And as you're still in your mind's eye and in your memory bank, think about the employees that you serve that are just like this one. Think about the employee experience that you provide your customers as they come into your space in HR. Do they leave engaged or do they leave disengaged? You are the pulse setter in your organization. You are the one that checks the temperature and determines when we should go up and go down. You are the ones that make the difference in your organization. What does engagement actually look like? An engaged employee is purpose-driven. They are inundated with dedication to get the work done. They cannot help themselves. They are excited, they're emblazoned, they're impassioned about the work that they do. This employee is never going to become a workaholic. Engagement and workaholism are two very different things. Engagement and satisfaction are also very different things. We're going to talk a lot about that as well. I want you to understand something. Employee engagement is totally dependent on the environment that the employee is allowed to thrive in. The environment that you create is going to determine how that employee engages with that environment. Hence the term employee engagement. Macy, Schneider, Barbera, and Young in 2009 defined engagement as an individual's sense of purpose and focused energy, evident to others in the display of personal initiative, adaptability, effort, and persistence. That's a heavy, very loaded statement. Let's break it down for a minute. Engagement is a sense of individual purpose. It means that you are connected to exactly what it is that you're doing every day, all day. You take pride in understanding that step A moves to step B and step B moves to step C, and it makes the whole picture come together, right? It's evident to the people that you share your workspace with. They can see it, feel it, touch it. They can even smell it if it's a good day. Engagement is palpable. You can feel it. The display of personal initiative. What does that mean? It means that I make my own decisions to get to my next level. I don't wait for the person to come in and say, Ahmad, do this. I do it because I want to, because I get something from it, I get meaning from it. A job to the engaged employee is not just a job. It's truly an extension, an authentic extension of oneself. There's a huge debate that's been going on from King Hatchet was a Hammer. And we all want to know, is a satisfied employee an engaged employee? The answer is absolutely not. The two are not created equal. A satisfied employee is okay with being to work. They have no excitement about it. They show up because they should. You know, he's happy about the benefits. She's okay with the salary. The cafeteria food is not the best, but she eats it. It's not a big deal. They're not riled up by a whole lot that's going on in the organization. But your engaged employee is doing all he or she can to make the difference at work for both themselves and their colleagues. They are fired up about what it is that they're doing every single day. They are actually connected to the experience of work. I want to take you somewhere. We're going to go to dinner. I want you to put on your best dress, put on your best suit, your shiniest shoe, draw your eyebrow dead good. Imagine, the setting is nice, the vibe is right, there's moonlight, and there's dinner, and there's wine, and there's violins playing, all the rake and scrape, whatever floats your boat. And your significant other presents you with a ring. And you're excited because you could feel it from this morning. This was the night. He's going to pop the question. She's going to ask you how you feel about me. They give you the ring, and you say, what's this? Because, they're not on their knee. They're just standing, they're sitting. What's this ring about? Baby, this is my satisfaction ring. Sorry? How are you? Yeah, you're puzzled. That is the difference between your satisfied employee and your engaged employee. Engagement suggests long-term investment. You want to take this relationship to the next level. Satisfaction says, I'm okay with where we are right now. Keep up the good work. Which one do you want? Do you want your significant other to give you a satisfaction ring or an engagement ring? One that solidifies and signifies where this journey is going and that we're going on this journey together. I want you to keep that in mind as you go back to your workplace, as we come out of this new normal and create our new normal rather. I want you to understand that the satisfied employee, the happy-go-lucky guy that's running up and down the aisle, doesn't necessarily mean he's engaged. Does that make sense to you? Think about how you would feel. You told all your girlfriends, all your brethren that you're going to pop the question tonight, or you're going to be asked, you feel like this is the night. And all of a sudden you get a satisfaction ring. Use that as your measuring stick when you're trying to figure out, are my employees satisfied or are they engaged? When we as HR professionals underestimate the work that our employees do, they feel it. It shows up in their perception of the work that they provide. And in turn, they don't care anymore. They lose interest and they say, you know what? Whatever buck up goes. They're not interested in what it is that can come next. But it's our job to provide meaning in the workplace. The employee that's connected to the overall goal of the organization through the work that they do sees the bigger picture. He or she is interested then in what the results are. They are concerned about the well-being of themselves and their colleagues. That matters. That's where you, as an HR professional, can make the difference for the employee. The next thing I want to talk about is psychological safety. Ask yourselves the question, are your employees safe at work? And yes, when we think about safety, we think about wellness and safety and hurricane preparedness and whatnot, but I want you to think about the psychological safety of your employees. Do they feel safe speaking up at work? Is it okay for them to say, you know what, I have a better idea? Are they okay to make mistakes? Are they celebrated and vindicated as they make mistakes, or are they victimized when they make mistakes? What is the climate for your organization when it comes to safety? If your employees can't speak up freely, if they can't share their opinions freely, then what's the point of being an employee? Some of our employees have way better ideas than we do and our CEOs do. Some of the best ideas come from the assembly line, from the employee level. It's important that your employees have a voice to express themselves willingly and openly. Culturally in the Bahamas, I have seen where employees that are outspoken and vocal are labeled as problematic and troublesome. That might be the case. That employee might be a bit radical in their approach. But what you're concerned about is it safe for them to share their opinion? Your other concern is, how are they expected to share their opinions? The environment that is psychologically safe ensures that employees are okay with spreading their message, with saying how they feel. So, what actually drives employee engagement? That's a very important question. As an HR leader in your organizations, you should be absolutely concerned about the psychological well-being of your employees. It is of utmost importance. If you aren't in the business of ensuring that your employees are psychologically safe, what are you in business for? The three things I want you to focus on as we go throughout this presentation right now are psychological meaningfulness, psychological safety, and psychological availability. Heavy terms again. We're going to break them down and make sure you understand exactly what's required of you to ensure that your employees are actually safe and engaged at work. Psychological meaningfulness is a mouthful. Let's dissect it a little bit. It actually means that your employees have a reason to be engaged at work. The work that we provide as HR professionals is supposed to bring employees' excitement out. It's supposed to help their purpose to come up to the top. The work that they do should be meaningful and contribute to the overall success of the organization. To be honest, some jobs are mundane. That's just the way the world works. But what we do in the environment to bring excitement and purpose to that mundane job is where we come in as HR professionals. Your job is to ensure that your employees have opportunities to expand themselves, to stretch themselves and to reach to higher heights. Even if that job that they are actually hired for is mundane and a little bit autocratic, there can still be some level of strategic goal that they can meet in that role. That's where you come in. When employees feel that they're doing work that makes sense and that has meaning, they invest more of themselves. It's rare that the greatest ideas come from the CEO or the HR leader. It's usually from within the ranks. The employees who feel psychologically safe are going to love to give ideas and new ways to do things. Think about it. It could literally be the difference between a process corrected or a process damaged. Our employees are in it more than we are. They experience it more than we do. So why not make it safe for them to be able to express their opinions, share their thoughts, and not feel any way about it? I want you to ask yourself, do your employees feel supported by management or threatened by management? Think about your own employee experience. How safe do you feel? Most, if not all of us, are working from home. COVID-19 has changed the way we do things, right? Others are furloughed. I want you to consider your position right now. What are you facing? How safe do you feel? Imagine the fact that you as an HR leader may have some trepidation or some caution about how safe you feel. in your workspace. Imagine then your employees. You are the one that's responsible, by and large, for creating this psychologically safe environment. If you don't feel safe, how do you think your employees feel? I want you to pause for a minute. Think. How safe do you feel? When is the last time you gave someone a hug? It's been months. Stop for a minute, bear with me, and hug yourself. Big, big bear hug. Invite safety into your mind's eye. Think about it. If you as an HR professional have thoughts of, am I really safe? Am I going to be let go? Am I going to be terminated? Those things affect the employee. Those things make it so that employees don't know what to do and how to feel. It's your job as an HR professional to ensure that the environment that people work in is psychologically safe. You want to do all you can to ensure that your employees are free to speak, free to engage, and free to empower somebody else. The next thing I want to talk about is psychological availability. Psychological availability has to do with the celebration of work-life balance. Think about it. Many of us, though we're working from home, have never worked this hard in our lives. Meeting after meeting, Zoom after Zoom, webinar after webinar. Thanks for joining us. You are stretched. Psychological availability, though, has to do with celebrating the unplug, disconnecting from work. Disconnecting from work doesn't necessarily mean that you're not engaged in work anymore. It means that you have an outlet to be who you truly are away from work, to celebrate with your family, to sit back, drink a beer, have a glass of wine, watch a game, watch your favorite show. Netflix and chill, if you will. It's about celebrating the fact that you can be who you are at work and away from work. Psychological availability also means that you're providing your team members with learning opportunities that foster investment and purpose. It means that you're providing them with authentic feedback that they can actually use to build confidence. A confident workforce is not anxious. They're concerned about getting the work done and getting it done right the first time. Anxiety is real. Everyone gets anxious. But your job as an HR professional is to loosen the purse strings a little bit. Help your employees to feel okay at work. They are okay leaving a project undone to go home and unplug and come back tomorrow and kill it. Right now, I'm sweating through my socks. Can you tell? No. Does it make the anxiety go away? No, it's still there. But what your job is to make that employee feel safe, feel available to come to work, to do their best work every single day. I hope that makes sense for you. Your job is to remove the anxiety. The definition of luxury is to remove worry. Think about it. When you spend hundreds of dollars per night on a room, you don't want to be worried about will the iron work or will the water be hot. You're conscious about the fact that you're here to enjoy yourselves. Removing the worry from your employee experience creates an availability for them. They are able to bring themselves every day free and clear, ready to make magic. Imagine that you're on the yellow brick road. You're bringing your Tin Man and your Lion and whomever else on the journey with you to solve the problems that your employees have. It could be a long, winding road. It could be a long and tedious journey, but it's as long and tedious as you make it. Everyone in your organization has to give it a pulse. It has to be a living, breathing organism. Until and unless everyone in your organization is on this trajectory to employee engagement, it will not happen. Your leadership has to be committed to this. Go back to the story about the engagement ring versus the satisfaction ring. Are you in this for the long haul until you get your next paycheck? The commitment is necessary to see this thing come to life, right? Involvement at all levels is necessary. It's important that not just senior leadership or just HR or just middle management are driving the charge. It's everyone's business. Everyone, every day, all the time. Leadership and management have to take it seriously. If we go back to the beginning of the presentation, are you treating this as a phenomenon, as a buzzword, as a thing that's fancy and trendy? Or are you actually trying to impact your employees' lives? You are the person that makes the difference. You are the one that determines how that actually plays out. Employees can feel when things are not authentic. They can see the smoke screens. They can tell when management is coming, because we hustle and we bustle to get things done just because they should be done, not because they need to get done. Your employees have entrusted you with their life. Most people spend countless hours at work, way more than they do at home with their families. And so think about it. If you are in charge of that employee experience, if you are the one that's leading the charge, why not make sense of it? Consider yourself 25 years ago, 10 years ago, 1 year ago, pre-pandemic, pre-COVID. What do you want different for your employee experience tomorrow that you didn't have yesterday? Your employees are counting on you. They need you to make the difference. It's your job as an HR professional, as an HR leader, as a business leader, as an entrepreneur, to determine the engagement environment you create for your team members. Think about it this way. Without them, you don't make it. You can't do every job in your organization. So why not create those environments where people feel safe, available, and involved in the work that they do? It's necessary. COVID-19 has given us the perfect opportunity to change whatever we want to. There are things that we can control, and there are things that we can't control. I had a boss a few years ago that always said to me, concern yourself with the things that concern you. As an HR professional, the thing that concerns you most are your employees. I want to remind you though, you cannot change what you're not insulted by. Think about that for a minute. You cannot change what you're not insulted by. What doesn't bother you doesn't get a reaction from you. What doesn't piss you off doesn't get you riled up and excited to do something about it. And so if you are okay with the level of employee engagement experience you enjoy now, that's something that you have to decide you have to change. The time to change, though, is now. There are 1,460 hours left in this year. Think about it. 5 seconds just went by. Time is moving. Time is leaving you behind. We are going to emerge from this pandemic better than we were before. The employee experience, though, is dependent upon you. How much of your 1,460 hours are you going to waste thinking about what should be done as opposed to doing something? Creating the environment where your employees feel safe, feel encouraged, feel purposed in what it is that they do. The time for change is now. The person to change it is you. HR professionals have a duty to protect the people we serve. That means creating the environment that makes sense for them to purpose themselves to their work, to connect to something bigger than themselves. Employee engagement is everyone's business. Doing it alone will not work. Get your leaders on board with you. This is the perfect time to sit at the table and demand the employee experience be changed. We need our employees. What type of environment are you going to welcome your team back to? The same old, or brand spanking new? The time to change is now. $1,459 hours left in this year to make the difference. Decide today to create the environment for your teams that they deserve. Create the environments that you've longed to serve in. We have a duty to serve those that we employ. It's up to you to make the choice today. It has been my pleasure to talk engagement with you today. I want you to remember one thing. Do you want to be satisfied or do you want to be engaged?